Sponsored by Hosted by Italian PM Giorgia Meloni, the much-anticipated G7 summit began on Thursday as the leaders of the 7 advanced economies arrived in Puglia. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Italy for the G7 summit for the outreach session on the sidelines, of which he is scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with various G7 members, including Meloni and US President Joe Biden. The group of 7 leaders at the summit is expected to announce financial aid for Ukraine backed by the profits from the frozen Russian investments and would offer a united face to confront China's political and economic ambitions. Besides the war in Ukraine, the G7 summit is also expected to be dominated by the issue of the Middle East war, which is currently in its 9th month. It is believed that President Biden would urge the G7 leaders, along with the special invitees, to unitedly call for an immediate ceasefire and endorse its ceasefire resolution at the United Nations. Notably, it is for the second consecutive year that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will attend the summit as his country grapples with the Russian invasion. Before heading for the summit, Zelensky took to X, saying that he expects the G7 summit to be mostly dedicated to Ukraine and finding solutions to the country's military challenges. Additionally, Zelensky is scheduled to hold a meeting with the US President, his key ally in the West, during which the two leaders will sign a bilateral security agreement for Ukraine. Additionally, another key agenda of the G7's so-called allies is to stand tall in the face of China's dominance and its support for Russia, a part of which has already been initiated by the United States on the eve of the G7 meeting. Washington on Wednesday dramatically broadened sanctions on Moscow, including by targeting China-based companies selling semiconductors to Moscow. By announcing new restrictions on Chinese firms, Biden is undoubtedly hoping to persuade Western allies to show greater resolve in confronting Beijing. However, as the G7 allies are ready to stand in the face of global confrontations on the world stage, the fact remains that these leaders are dealing with stability in their homes. Except for Giorgia Meloni, who recently won the Italy votes for the EU, every other G7 leader is beleaguered, embattled or endangered. Britain's Rishi Sunak is 3 weeks away from an election where his Conservative Party is believed to be swept out of power, while France's Emmanuel Macron called a snap parliamentary election after his party suffered heavy losses in European elections, similar to Germany's elapsed calls. Similarly, US President, who again is expected to lose the upcoming November elections, is dealing with rival Donald Trump and his son Hunter Biden's conviction.